So you think the film's having a good positive effect then, Craig?
Oh, unbelievable. Like, even yesterday now, like when I tagged in that thing, that's just like tip of the iceberg sort of thing. There's been loads of other talks which I've been to, and um, it's just like people are just blown away. Like the fact, I think it's because I do my talk first, and then I show them that after, because they can't really visualize it. So then I show them the video, and then they're just like, I can see where you've been and what you're doing now. It's amazing, like. So,
I mean, it's good to hear, and it's nice to hear that things are kind of getting used as well, and you can utilize it for your talks. And there's, I think there's nothing better than a film to kind of show you in context and what you do and the effort that you're putting in.
definitely,
And I think that coming back, it's just there's that connection, isn't it?
I've watched it about 100 times, I've just felt like some moments of reflection sometimes, just to realise how far I've come. Like I remember just being in my house, and then now, watching that video of what I've done and early morning runs and stuff, it's just blows my mind, like.
So I want to kind of start and go back to just sort of your upbringing, like where were you born, where you're from, a
Yeah.
little bit of your family, just a little bit of background, Craig, just so I know a bit of context about, like what shaped you, who you are now.
Um, so I'm Craig Tampin, I'm 34, I'm initially from Wallsend, um, and my upbringing was really good, if I'm honest. I loved football, I loved Newcastle United, and I think from an early age, um, like looking back at things, I realised that I had that addictive personality.
So where does that come from though, Craig? It kind of, you're looking back, is it as a kid, are you seeing certain traits? Like how young are you
I
when
think it
you're
was
kind of noticing these things?
probably about 8 years old, and I noticed it when sort of, like Pokemon cards and football stickers came out. I always wanted more, so I always wanted another packet if I hadn't got that particular player. I always wanted another packet if I didn't get that particular Pokemon card, and then it manifested to amusements. So if I was at the amusements, I'd be on the 2p machines, and I'd always want another pound. Or if I got pocket money, I'd want another fiver, and it just snowballed, and then I really do believe that those moments led to us being, you know, what I was. But that's the earliest memory that I have.
And would that change as you went through? Obviously, does that affect like your relationships with mates? And what were you popular? Did you have a bunch of mates? Were you just like a normal kind of childhood? What?
Um, I would say I was like what's the word? Like the party starter sort of thing. Like I always wanted the attention to be on me. Um, I had a good set of friends of what I thought at the time anyway. Um, and I wouldn't say it affected me friendships because I felt like we were very similar. So it was sort of bounced off each other in a way. Like if I was on a slot machine at 16, I would just say, "Oh look, can I borrow another fiver?" And they wouldn't think no of it. Um, but obviously at the time that was worse for me because you were just feeding my habits, so to speak. Um, but at 16, you don't really have them thought processes of like, oh, he's going to be an addict when he's older, sort of thing. Um, but friendships wise, nah, we're just like a group of lads, like to party, like to drink, took drugs now and again, and we just used to love to gamble, like. So, and then obviously had to change my environment. So
So what about your family as well? I mean, did you grow up like, brothers, sisters, mum, dad, kind of normal staple household, or?
me mum and dad split up when I was about 2. Um, so every time like I sort of reflect or do a talk, I always look back on things because I do think that certain things like that affected us. Um, I didn't realize it at the time, but they're quite big events in your life. So I got one sister who I'm like really close with. Can like almost tell her anything really. But one thing that I will mention is that when I was 15, I used to be able to get into pubs and I used to go out with my uncles, and I used to bet. I used to bet around the table, because I just used to think it was the norm back then. Um, Obviously, looking back, it wasn't. You know, like a 15-year-old lad sitting in a pub, um, one drinking and two gambling. It was just a toxic recipe, I guess. You know.
Because it's, I mean, as a kid, you're just doing things similar to your mates.
Hmm.
You're hanging around. It's just the way society is. You know, you're kicking around playing football. You're
Yeah.
going to school, all that kind of stuff. Is there anything kind of along the way that you found that kind of you gravitated more towards? I know you're thinking like addictive personality, but is there anything in there which you now looking back can say, hang on, I think I was developing something along those lines, you know, where you're obsessive about things as well? Was that a thing?
Yeah. Even to this day, like, um, I check the door like 20 times, even though I know it's locked. Um, and I can't, honestly, I can't really put a finger as to when that started or how it started. It just seemed to like manifest itself. So, like previously mentioned about the Pokemon cards and the 2p machines, I think it just like gradually got worse. And then the OCD kicked in, the anxiety kicked in, worry kicked in. Um, and it was just draining all the time. And I became obsessed about football, about doing my homework on time, and it was just, I had to do things in a certain order as well. Uh, Stupid as it sounds, I used to put all my clothes in order of like make, because it was just easier for my brain to go, right, Nike's there, Adidas is there, and um, it's a really hard thing to live with and to deal with. You add in the gambling and stuff as well, but um, I feel like I'm trying to like sort of get it under control now a bit.
Because nobody tells you when you're a kid. It's just, oh, stop being obsessive, and it's
Hmm.
throwaway comments, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's how I feel as well. And you don't really understand it because nobody's explained it to you. You
No.
know, do you think that's a thing now? I mean, obviously, as we grow older, we have kids. You can see these things because of the things you've gone through. So
Hmm.
you're trying to jump on that, but is there an overcorrectness? Are you finding that about, you
Yes.
know, have you got a family as well? Have you?
Yeah. I've got a family. Partner Danielle. Got 3 children. One from a previous relationship. And 2 young sons. And me 6-year-old, I can see myself in him so much. And I talked about this to the lads just recently. He's obsessed with his Nintendo Switch, like Minecraft, and it's hard because I'm trying to tell him, but at the same time, I'm also trying to let him live. He's only 6, but like, I feel like I'm in the best position if it does progress into anything bad, that I can guide him in that way. Um, but my youngest one, he just seems to be obsessed with everything. He's went through stages of Super Mario, and now it's Minecraft. So I it's hard because you can see yourself in that person, but at the same time, you've got to remember that they're only little, and you've got to just let them be.
It's tough because you don't want to overcorrect it. You don't want to kind of make it a thing
Hmm.
because you don't know what that's going to create.
Exactly.
And you know, do you think it's a nature and a nurture thing, or do you think it's a mixture of both?
Um, I would say it's probably a mixture of both. Um, whether I was told as a youngster to stop being obsessed with things, whether that would be different for me, probably not. Um, like, I just believe that the path that I was on and still on was meant to happen. Like, it's just for getting opportunities to show people that you can come out of it no matter what. Like, there's a lot of people struggling out there with OCD and obsessiveness and addiction, and I just want to show people that it's alright. You know what I mean?
I think it's more, this is what I have, these are me traits of a personality. How can I manage them without them getting out of hand?
Hmm.
Do you think that's a viable thing? You think it's kind of manageable?
Yeah, I do. I think you've got to do a lot of work on yourself though. You don't have to like be addicted to anything. It's just about doing some inner work on yourself, whether that's a bit of meditation in the morning to control your mind, or I go in the sea, and I've been down there this morning and I've documented a video, and I tell people my exact routine because it doesn't change. But like, I'm trying my best not to worry about that or think about that. It's okay for us to have that routine, and it's okay for us to just go in the sea and have a bit of peace. And like obviously life is like full on 24/7. You add the fact that you're worrying and your OCD and everything else that's going on, and it can just be really a bit too much. So if you just incorporate whatever works for you, your mind just quietens down a bit, and then you can manage it the best you can.
So doing things and thinking about things isn't your issue. It's the opposite, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Really,
Yeah,
you
I
got
would
to
say
try
so.
and you're trying to kind of
It's
calm the
control.
mind. Yeah.
I think sometimes I want to control everything, and I realized that only just recently that you know we get told at the meeting you got to accept the things you can't control, and that was a hard thing to take. You know what I mean? Like you try and think about tomorrow, but you haven't even lived today. And I must admit, like my life is a lot better because I'm in that way of thinking now. Because it used to just create so much like anxiety for no reason. And I remember like reading a quote that like tomorrow's worry will take away today's peace, and it's so true. Like you just got to live in the moment. Like, and that's a cliche, but you really do. Like, otherwise you're just gonna go off on a tangent.
So going back to obviously the teenage years, because this is when things start to get, yeah, you can teeter along the edge of legal
Hmm.
underage, illegal underage. Do you know what I mean? Because you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
start getting into pubs
yeah.
and you can start getting drinks, and your uncle might put a bet on for you.
Hmm.
So let's go back to starting that kind of that way of life, because your lifestyle's changed. Like everybody, when they get to teenage years, you're pushing the boundaries, and you see that slight little gap in the door open, you're going to stick your foot in it and you're going to try and walk through it, aren't you?
Yeah,
So can we just go back to
yeah,
that?
yeah.
I just want to know, like, at what point did this journey start?
I think there's a lot of moments that you could say it started, but I really do believe that was probably when I entered my teenage years. I remember it like clear as day yesterday. At the time you could put the lottery on when you're 16. I remember my 16th birthday, my first thought was, you can buy a scratch card now. So I went straight to the shop. I think I had £20 in my card. I think it was off my nana or something. And I think I bought like 10 scratch cards. 10. Not just one, 10.
So this is the Pokemon card thing
Oh,
all over, isn't it?
you can't just, like, one's not enough sort of thing.
But now you got a chance of
Aye,
winning something back, haven't you?
aye. But the thing is that I lost. I lost. And I didn't have that chasing feeling then because didn't know what that was. But I think I was obviously devastated. And the rest of the money I spent on loads of sweets, like not just one pack of sweets, loads of sweets. So it's a bit of a common theme here. But um, the year after that, 17, that's when I had my daughter. Um, so still a kid myself, really. Um, when I had my daughter, like I say, I was still a kid, still partying, stuff like that. But I always said that I was going to step up the plate, and I did. Like I've seen her every weekend, paid me way and stuff like that. But whether that was a reason for it progressing even further, possibly, I can't tell you. But I do believe that that moment at 16 sort of flicked the switch, because at 8 years old, asking for a quid again, you sound a bit cheeky to your mum because she's already give you one. But at 16, you've got that way of thinking, you've got a bit of a, not adult brain on you, but you're thinking a bit more about things. Um, and then when I got to 18, that's when it just started going downhill. Obviously, I could go in the betting shop, And
What was that like to you though? That kind of,
oh, it was
I'm
like
18 and I can legally go into this betting shop. What was that feeling like to you? Was it,
I can't
have you
describe it.
have you been counting down the days for this thing or what?
Um, it was like you know the moment when you realise you can go to the pub. But bear in mind, I have been at the pub since I was 15, so to all my mates, it was new to them. But I was like, I've already been here, done it, sort of thing. But the betting shop was just like, it was like being in an adult's amusements. That's all I can describe it as. And I would just see it as like fake money. I would always see it as like monopoly money, like just not even real because it didn't feel real. Flashing lights, horses constantly on, the lotteries on that TV, Spanish lottery, and you're just like, it doesn't even seem real. Um, and like previously mentioned about the scratch cards, I used to put like about 10 bets on, you know, pen at the ready and get the football on the TV. And we used to sit in my mum's house and there's about 3 or 4 of us with a pen and marking the teams as they come in. And I've always tried to explain this feeling, but I can't. So I try and explain the situation for people to try and work out how I'm feeling. But um, there was one moment where 9 teams had come in on the bet, and it was for about £1,000. So in my head, I've already spent £1,000, and the last game didn't come in. So I had this feeling of £1,000 just like there being taken away from us, even though it wasn't there to begin with. So then I had to go back to the bookies to try and one, reclaim the money that I'd spent on the bet, and two, to try and reclaim some back of the winnings that I'd never had. And that feeling, it's like butterflies, anxiety, all them feelings mixed into one, and it turns into like a tornado. And it's such a feeling I can't describe it.
Do you think it's more like it's like a
Like a
like
massive
a
rush.
fight or flight?
Aye.
Because you want to try and get yourself out of the situation. So you go into panic mode and you go, oh, well, the only way to do this is like put more bets on and kind of try and win it back.
Yeah.
Is it that
Oh,
type of
definitely.
thing?
I don't think you rationalize things. I think you're literally thinking like black or white sort of thing. You either gone there or you didn't, or you accept your losses sort of thing. But for me, 99% of the time, could never accept it. Could never accept it. And it's I suppose the thing that I said previously about, accepting the things that kind of change that. But like I wanted to change the outcome every time. I wanted to win, and it was just getting the point where it was just getting daft. Like I was taking money to go and get a haircut, but I was walking past the barbers to go to the booties, and a haircut would cost us like 500 quid. So, aye.
So you're with, obviously, you said you had a child and you with your partner at the time.
Mhm.
What's the excuse of going back home and go, well, where's the money gone? Who did you have to answer to or did you not have to answer to?
So my daughter, I actually split up with the mother about 7 months into the pregnancy. So I was living with my mum. So I didn't really have anyone to answer to, if I'm honest. I always used to try and hide things from my mum. My mum had a really good like motherly instinct. She always knew when there was something up, but I would always like brush it under the carpet. And there was one particular moment where I was about 18, I would say, and that particular chasing feeling had entered my brain, and told my mum I was going for a run, and the local betting shop was around the corner. I sat in there for about half an hour trying to get the money back. Realised that I'd said I was going for a run, sprinted up the street, walked home, and my mum's like, "Oh, how was your running, son?" I was like, "Oh, it was brilliant, class." But she knew. Like I could see it in her eyes that she knew, but she just did. I just don't think she wanted the conflict at that moment. You know what I mean? She just wanted us to be all right, I suppose. And then there was one time where she found like, say, about 20 scratch cards hidden in my pillowcase. And then she eventually had to help us out. Bless her. But it's just some of the stuff you go through to get to that point. It's mad looking back. Like,
So you're living at home, you're an old teenager, you're trying to
Yeah.
You're just trying to do what you want to do, which is
Hmm.
gambling and
Yeah.
betting and stuff like that. And was it the chase? Is it the thing? Is because it's not the. I've heard it's not the money.
So like I explained this like last week. So for me, people always say that they used gambling to hide their emotions. Um, Mine was like accumulation of everything, which is why I think I found it really hard to stop. So yes, it was to do with get money sometimes. Um, Two, it was the feeling. Three, it was my emotions. You could add a few more things in there, but for me, it was just a massive cocktail, and all them things added together. I just found it really hard to stop, because if I dealt with my emotions, then I'd want to win a bit of money. If I'd won money that day, I'd want to chase, and then if I chased, then I'd want the feeling, and it's just like accumulation of everything, and it is hard to explain, but
So when your mum found out, you
mm,
said she helped you out.
mm,
It's like financially kind of
mm, yeah,
help you out, like pulled you out of it.
yeah. So at the time, I got a credit card out, and it was like £2,500 limit, and I think, well, if I divide 57 by 2,500, it's probably about, I don't know, about 20 days or so off, whatever. But I gambled £57 every day. There was a particular horse bet called Heinz. It was Heinz 57 because it was the 57 varieties of sauce, but it was 57 different ways that this bet could win. I didn't know nothing about horses, absolutely nothing. And the mad thing about it was if I won, I couldn't even withdraw the money. It was just going back on my credit card. But with it having a limit of 2,500, it would just bounce that, and I would just have to keep the money in my account. So then it would just lead us to. So I was never winning. I never did win. Um, and a month passed, and I was £2,500 in debt, and I was just paying the minimum payment, which was about 50 quid. So yeah, um, out my overdraft to 1,500 quid. So there you go. There's 4 grand straight away in debt. Um, she had to get a bank loan out for us. So paid her back. Tell her that a monthly agreement, which I did stick to. There'd be the odd month where I would say, "Oh, can I miss this month?" And that was because I wanted to gamble. Just simply wanted to get, even though I know I'm paying her back and she's helped me. I still want to gamble.
So it
Um,
just didn't stop you
no, no,
because your mum she helped you
yeah.
out.
So it was like I don't want to say easy target, because I don't want to think that, but that's the way that this disease and addiction made me. Like I always use the angel and devil analogy, and as soon as I realized I was debt free, the devil was like, "How are we going back in the bookies now?" Because you're free essentially. The debt's not on you anymore. It's like, as far as it sounds, it was on my mum, even though I was paying her back, and I never would not pay her back. But it was just like, because I didn't have it to my name, it was uh,
Yeah, because you almost, as long as I'm paying her back, she's off my back. So at
mm-hmm,
least I can kind of continue doing
do
what I
what
want
do.
to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what was the? I mean, the first moment like she kind of found out. Did she kick off? Was it? Did she go nuts or what? What happened?
It was more to seek help. Um, she was obviously disappointed, but she wanted to help us. She always has. She always will. Um, Even when I had my daughter, like, she knew on the look of my face, and she said, "Look, it's all right. We'll get through it. I'll help you." And that was the sort of thing that I did. And so I went to Gamblers Anonymous at 24. But that's the thing. It was for her. It wasn't for me.
So from the age of 18, you've just been gambling and kind
Ah,
of getting away with it. But was it building up for like those 6 years where you kind of, was it getting more and more? And was it at that point where you had 4 grand in debt?
aye. So like leading probably, I would say probably 18 to 22. It was just like 20 quid at a weekend. Like the odd chasing. Like trying to win your money back, but it was never like all the time. It sort of built its way up to getting the credit card. I toyed with getting a credit card for ages, but it was just something had flicked in my brain. Just get it, it's just a plastic card, it's free money sort of thing.
So what were you doing as a job though?
Plumber. So I worked as a plumber for the council. So I had a really good job, like really good job.
So you just saw Friday night as like champion, get paid.
I used to get paid monthly. I used to pay out all my bills, and then I used to try and leave a bit for drinking money, and then I would try and divide whatever was left over the course of the next 4 weeks. So if I had, say, 280 quid, that would be 70 quid a week gambling money, but it never ended up being 70 quid a week, it would be 280 quid in a weekend. That's why I end up getting payday loans, credit cards, because I was trying to control my money, and then when I lost control of the money, I was trying to regain it back by getting the loans and stuff like that.
So when you were breaking up your monthlies, your bills and stuff like that, how much were you trying to find the money to gamble on it? Was that top priority to go, I've had a little bit more, kind of? Were you trying to do that,
I never used to. So I used to have like the same clothes for years. Like I would, if I was going on a lad's holiday, I would end up borrowing the money because any penny that I had, I just wanted to go on either drink or gambling. Um, like I would never say I'm like an alcoholic, but me drinking was really bad. Like I would always used to get like blackouts and just drink until I couldn't drink anymore. And I'd be known as this lad round, especially like my old set of mates who would just drink anything. Like I drank a bottle of wine for 32 quid. Stuff like that. Just because I could.
Did that kind of stuff feed the gambling?
Oh, 1%. Like I think that was my main reason for drinking the bottle of wine. So I got £32 to put in the barn. Like obviously at the time I just collected the money, but I guarantee the next morning I would have been straight at the bookies with 32 quid. Like probably would have sold all the clothes on my back just to put a bet on.
And you talk about loss, because I've heard people say as well, oh, I remember the time when it was always that nearly story,
Mm-hmm.
that you won, because it's always the potential that you can win with gambling, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't tell the 50 stories of losing, do you? It's always
No.
you pull out the one that I won £1,000, but you probably spend 50 grand just to get to the 1,000.
I
Is that common?
probably lost 99% of the time.
So what kept you going then, Craig?
The feeling of it, and I felt safe when I was doing it. Like, I've had some really good friends in my lifetime, but that was my best friend. That's why I found it really hard to let go. Because, like, stupid as it sounds, that slot machine was there for us through a lot of things. Like, never helped us because never won, or it never talked back to us, but them times I would press the button or write me bet and slip out, it was just make us forget about the world for a bit. And I remember I spoke to a really good friend, and he said, I believe that you are just surviving by doing the gambling, and I really do believe that. Like, I was just surviving in their moments in time.
Because I'm just thinking, you kind of talking about that there. You were saying as a kid you had mates, it was normal, but were you a bit kind of withdrawn as well, like in your own head most of the time?
Oh, like I would say I was never present. Like I was in a bubble. I'll probably describe it as being in my own snow globe. Wouldn't let anyone in. Even if they asked us out, if I was Ari, I would just say aye. Because I would say even back then, 15 years ago, mental health and that is frowned upon. You couldn't even talk about it, and telling someone you had a gambling addiction, I think they'd just laugh at you. You're struggling or you're in debt. And I think that's why I probably did bury my head in the sand a bit, like, because when I look back now to how I am now, so open and honest, and trying to help people and tell people it's alright, it's chalk and cheese. Like I wish the 15-year-old version of Craig had this version to talk to, if that makes sense.
So, what's changed in you to be open? Do you feel like there's a massive weight just being lifted off your shoulders because now do you feel free because you're talking about this stuff?
I do. Someone said something yesterday at a talk I was at, and she said, suffering makes you ill. Like, if you keep suffering inside you, makes you ill. And ever since I've been open and talked, I don't feel ill anymore, because I feel like every time I was dealing with something, it was as if I was, like, say, eating a donut. I was having a donut, but then I wasn't going to the toilet because I was just keep filling up with donuts. And then I was just ready to explode. I feel like that's what all these moments in time were, just going down, sitting there, using the slot machine, but never actually dealing with this, like, in my stomach sort of thing. And then when I ended in recovery, I started doing breath work, meetings, videos, podcasts, whatever it may be. I realized that every time I did it, I was either emotionally drained, light as a feather, or just free. And that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps the fire burning. I'm just passionate, you know. And, like, I think I've realized how many people I can actually help, whether that's someone who has got a gambling problem, or someone who just wants to try the sail for the first time, or someone who wants to run. And if I can do that just by talking and sharing my experience, then I'll do it until the day I die.
I do think because if you're around a bunch of mates, you tend not to be too open about certain things because you don't want to share who you are too much.
Yeah.
But I think when everyone goes home at the end of the day, you're sitting in your own thoughts, and that's when really you should be thinking about this stuff. And this is when you should be looking at yourself and examples like yourself. And it's kind of, how did you feel that way? Do you feel like the freedom to be who you are and being open is kind of obviously solved all your problems? Do you feel there's an issue about like being just caught up in a group of mates, caught up in like the same mindset as everybody else? What's your thoughts about that, Craig?
I think there is a bit of a stigma, if I'm honest. I actually got rid of my old set of mates about a year into my recovery. And I think it's because I've realised that a lot of the stuff that I've done, I would have had the mick taken out of us. And I thought when I was with them, I was this person. But then I've realised that coming into recovery and being amongst my new set of friends and being open and honest, this is the real me. Now, it's been really hard because for 16 to 31, I was a particular Craig, which I thought I was. Party animal, you know, loved to bet, didn't look after himself. And then I've become this, like, fitness fanatic, person who was open and honest. I'd like to say trustworthy, and just everything else. And when I look back, I think the 16-year-old Craig would laugh at me, because that's not me. But when I look back, all them moments, like, formed us into this one.
Is it a fear of being who you are because you want to fit in?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I never knew that I wanted to be this person. That makes sense. That only happened because of recovery. But at the same time, I feel like I've always been trying to get people to like us because I was just fearful.
That's every kid everywhere, isn't it, Craig? That's what I see, and I've been through the whole thing. You're trying to please people. You're trying to be something that you're not
Yeah,
because you're frightened of like not being like everybody else. If you your own individual person, then
yeah, uniqueness in it.
uniqueness, but uniqueness is what the 1% of the world kind of looks at as well. So if you're unique, someone's going to go, well, Craig can do it, so why can't I? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the point. That's the whole point, isn't it?
It's having a massive effect on me children. Like I must admit, like positive and negatively, and I say negatively because me daughter's just turned 16 and she's struggling really bad with anxiety and that. But I'm trying to like tell her a bit about my experiences. Like, so say for instance, she was struggling to do a presentation in school. And I was trying to teach her about breath work, trying to not to think too far ahead and this, that, and that. And then you get the positive sides where they want to come running with us or they want to do a bit of the cold water. And I'm like, this is brilliant. Like, this is brilliant. Like, really good. This is the dad and the person that I want people to see. I don't do stuff for a show. That was the old Craig. This is the real me, you know what I mean? Like I want people to be inspired by interviews, by videos. I want people to start their running journeys because they've seen me run. I want them to ask help if they've got a gambling problem because they've seen me do well. Like that's my purpose now. Like I really do believe that that's my purpose in life.
It's tough because you can't fix, you
No,
can't force, and you can't kind of
can't fix everyone.
no, and it's hard trying not to be the fixer. Probably because with your OCD, because you're still in there,
Yep.
but you've kind of got to let them figure it out. But maybe just guide them along the way, and that's the toughest journey ever, isn't it?
Oh, 1%. I mean, early doors, I was trying to help every person. Um, I was trying to give them that advice, like try and change your environment, try and change your way of thinking, and then people would relapse, and then I'd get frustrated, but then I'd realize that that was me. So it was when I look back, even just as early as this little interview that we've had, I've learned something new about myself straight away that it is about the control thing. Like I never realized that, and it's when because you unlock memories or your ways of thinking that I think a lot of the time I've tried to control things that I just can't control. Like I even can't control if people don't like us. I just try and be me, and if they don't like us, then that's fair enough. But I think that was the old way of me that I wanted everyone to like us because I just didn't like awkwardness and I didn't like awkward conversations. I just wanted everything to flow. But then I realised that being in recovery that it's even recovery's like that, like a roller coaster. You can't one size doesn't fit all sort of thing, and it's that for life. You're gonna find your tribe and the people that you get on with, and that's the people I'm with now. So
It's only when you get older, when you're trying to figure things out, and you look back and you understand your traits of who you are, and the traits of who you are have affected every single thing in your life moving forward because it's just how you made up. You're like, I'm just naturally obsessed about this thing, so I've got the Pokemon cards, and then I let out the gambling, and then. But if you knew now, like, right, okay, so this is an obsessive behavior, so how can I manage and control this? You might be able to put a handle on it.
hmm
So I think understanding who you are from the jump
yeah,
really helps you navigate certain things because you can stop your mind kind of going too far.
yeah. I mean, my brain feels like 100 miles an hour sometimes. Like a whirlwind, and I'd like to say that a lot of the time now. It's like clear skies. You know what I mean? Like just clouds just moving along nicely. And I think the problem with I don't want to say like a lot of people, but from my experience anyway, I feel like you've got to just do a lot of deeper work on yourself. It's not just about stopping the addiction or the OCD or the worry. You've got to change everything. I do believe that. Like your environment, your friendship groups, as hard as it may be, like you've just got to do you've got to do these things if you want to be the person that you want to be, really.
It's kind of, you got to get used to being uncomfortable, haven't you, really?
And the amount of times that I've been uncomfortable in the past 3 years, like yesterday morning, I woke up at 6 o'clock to go for a run. Dark skies outside. Didn't want to go out, couldn't be bothered. Thinking about 100 different reasons why I shouldn't go out, but I've done it anyway, and it's just like, once you keep doing them uncomfortable moments, the day get a bit easier. Like, I think that it's always going to be there, that uncomfortableness. Like, you're never going to be happy about getting up at 5 in the morning to go for a half marathon. Do you know what I mean? Or jumping in the sea or whatever. But that's how you grow as a person. And like, I think my group in particular, especially like the Ice Guys lads as well, I think we're making a massive difference in our community. Like, I really do. So,
And the moment, let's go, just describe the time or go back to the time when you kind of started to make an active change, because you said up
yeah,
until like 30, was it 31 or was it
31,
28 or something?
31, yeah.
Aye, Craig. So it's kind of, so you've been trying on
Yeah.
and off the wagon, as everybody always does, with life. And so what was it then? And then what have you done since then? You know,
Mm,
what are these things you've replaced? Because I think you got to replace the bad with the good, so at least you can focus on something good.
yeah. Um, so it got the 17th of December 2021. Don't know why I picked that particular day, but I think it was just probably a accumulation of a few things. I was hungover to start. I'd just been out on a Christmas night out, and I didn't get in till 8 o'clock Sunday morning. So I'd been out from 12 o'clock Saturday afternoon, didn't get in till 8 o'clock. And the look on my partner's face obviously said it all, but because I was still hungover, you don't really think too much. So I had a bit of a sleep to sleep it off, and realization kicked in. Like, um, I just had a bet. I think the night before, lost obviously, and I was just sitting. Like, I've said this many times in shares and speeches, but because I'm like here now, I want people to try and visualize this. So I just sat in my living room, and my living room's just basic, like grey floors, white walls, and I just sat there for about 20 minutes, just looked up the ceiling, looked at the walls, and just deliberating my life, really. Just thinking, just what my life is. Like, I've got a beautiful family, got a really good job, and thought I had a good support network, a good set of friends at the time. And I was just going through the same cycle, just like a hamster getting on the wheel. And I was just tired of doing it. I'd done it like on and off from 18 to 24. Had a bit of a stint when I went wild, and then tried to control it again from like say 27 to 31. And I got in touch with a friend. I said, we're going to go down Wales for Christmas to visit Danielle's family. Do you think I should wait until after then? He said, no, I'll tell her now. But I just couldn't. Like, just anxiety and worry and everything else was kicking in. And I do believe that if I hadn't told her that day, I wouldn't be sat here like now. So I walked upstairs, probably as slow as I could, step at a time, 2 feet at a time, just trying to delay the inevitable, really. And went in, and I think she was doing her hair at the time, and I just stood by the radiator, and I was waiting for her to ask me what's going on. And she did. She asked us, told her I'd been gambling again, and she was bursting into tears. I burst into tears, and I just said, look, if I don't sort this out now, says this addiction's going to kill me. And It was tough, like, because for 16 years I tried to control something that I just couldn't control. Um, so I left the house, moved back to my mum for a couple of days, and within a day I was straight back to the meeting. Changed my bank account to the same as Danielle's so that I could show her any transactions that I was doing. And for the first couple of months I would keep receipts of stuff. I would ask her if I could use her card because the transactions would go to her, like if I need to put petrol in or whatever. And I don't know why it's worked, and I don't really want to question it, but like I think ultimately it's because I know what I've got to lose now, and that to me is greater than putting a bet on, which is why I can honestly say since I've been back in them rooms, I've never once thought of having a bet, because I don't want to ever see the look that I got of just like hollow, as if I could just see straight through her. And I think that's really hard for the affected other, because obviously it's nice for me to share and stuff like that, but at the same time, a lot of the stuff's went onto her then. You've shifted it onto her, and I must admit, she's been an absolute rock. Like I'm really lucky to have her. Like, and I said to her 2 days after I told her, went for a walk on the beach. She wouldn't even let us hold her hand. She wouldn't let us like kiss her or cuddle her. And I said to her, I says, I'm going to change. I says, whether you believe it or not, I don't know. I says, I don't even know if I believe it, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And then from then, I just went all into my recovery. Things started happening, opportunities started arising. I met friends for life, and I always talked about this. Like, if I'd still been abstinent at 24, my life would have looked a lot different to what it is now. But I feel like the 7 years between 24 and 31 shaped us into this person, which made us even stronger again, which is why now I always say that I think my mindset is like, try and use analogies because I find it hard to explain stuff. Back then, my mindset was like cardboard, like mush. Just could just stay in bed all day if I wanted or whatever, manipulate people. Whereas now I feel like I'm concrete now. Like, I just feel like now it's getting in. I feel like if I see I'm going to go on for a 20-mile run tomorrow, I'm going to go on for a 20-mile run. And I just think that's the ultimate thing that's changed for me, my mindset. Obviously, a lot of stuff I've done on myself, inner work, breath work, meditation, yoga, just anything that is going to help us going forward. And ultimately, these things, like the videos, the podcasts, they also help me because I realised stuff about myself. Like, I've only just realised today that I was probably a bit of a control freak. So I've changed a lot of things. Relationships probably the best it's ever been, which is weird. But I think it's because of the change I've done. And Danielle's, a bit of a closed book. Sometimes, she doesn't like to see how it is. But when she does say something, I know that it's meaningful. And I'd done my first ever marathon a couple of weeks back. And she sent us this long text message, and honestly, I was crying my eyes out. Like, she just said, your mind is your strongest muscle. She says, take this run one step at a time, like you have done with your journey, one day at a time. She says, you inspire so many people around your community. You inspire us and the kids, and we love you so much. And aye, it was. I think when you realise that you've hurt a lot of people, but you don't know until it's all clear, because you're blinded by the fog, and when it's clear, you get a chance to think, oh God, I did that, but that's the word I use. I did that. I'm not that person anymore. I'm this person, and what I am doing now is giving people hope, trying to inspire people, trying to just tell people that gambling addiction is a really bad thing, like, and in that if you want to change, you can do out you put your mind to.
So just a sign off message as well, Craig, it's kind of, what would you say to somebody who's going through similar things that you've been through now, just to really shine a light and giving people hope, give people help?
I think first and foremost, you've got to like realize yourself that you've got a problem. Took me a long time for me to sort of break free of the chains, I guess, and say, look, however, you need to get some help. Um, talk to someone that you feel comfortable with. Doesn't have to be a family member, can be a work colleague. If you are struggling with gambling, there's Gamblers Anonymous out there, which you can go on Google, type in the website, and your postcode will give you your local GA meeting. And even if none of that works, I'm on Instagram. My journey's dedicated to me gambling story. My inbox is always open to anyone that's struggling out there. And it is a struggle. It's a real struggle. But I just want to show anyone that may be watching this that if you have an addiction, there is a way out. I always got told that connection is the opposite of addiction. And when I read the description of connection, it's so true. People isolate themselves so much, and all they need is a bit of a support network and some like-minded people. You've got plenty of groups out there, and just seek out the help.
And for blokes out there as well, you're part of the Ice Guys, aren't you?
Yeah. So Ice Guys is a cold water therapy group. We meet on a Sunday morning at Long Sands. Anyone welcome. I've actually got someone coming for the first time on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to him getting in. But there's loads of stuff out there, running groups, walking groups, you name it. But I think my last sort of message that someone said to me is, when things get a bit tough, just get out of your mind and into your body. Like whether that's reading, bit of relaxation, just sitting on the beach listening to the waves. Because I feel like once you get out of here, you can see the light.